I'm offended by Uber's new women riders can select women drivers like app functionality, but I also completely understand it. Hi, my name is Levi, and I've been an Uber driver for about 5 years, and I've done 13,000 trips. Um, Now, let's talk about why I understand it first. Picture this. It's late at night, you're a female, you're maybe a little bit drunk, you're in an unfamiliar place, and you need to order an Uber and you're by yourself. I completely understand why a woman would want potentially another female driver to take them somewhere. I totally get it. Um, because statistically speaking, that female is potentially at more of a risk with a male assaulting her than a female. So that's a fair thing. I totally get it. So why am I offended? Well, I think my offense comes from being lumped in this category that all men are all of a sudden potential, predators. That makes me feel gross because I'm not. I've done 13,000 some odd trips, and I'd bet you 7,000, if not more. Well, I almost 60, 70% of my rides are female, I bet. And I've had tons and tons of females in my car late at night by themselves. And I don't want to be seen as some sort of creepy, lecherous guy that, is trying to prey on innocent women. So it's fair for me to feel that I'm somehow lumped into that category. Are there men that are gross? Yes, of course. But there are females too. Let me give you some stories, and then we're going to get into some because I think there's a lot more to this than this basic scenario here. But um, and I've got some data that'll blow your mind a little bit, and I've got a solution too. So I'll get into it. But let me tell you a couple of stories just to kind of relate. Now, again, I've been an Uber driver for a long time, and I've seen it all. if you if you've driven a taxi late at night or an Uber or Lyft or whatever late at night, you know what I'm talking about. There's just so many things that happen. One time, I went and picked up this college girl. It was about 9 o'clock at night, and she wanted to go to New York City. Now it's like 4.5 hours away at 9 o'clock at night. But I needed the money, so I took her on this trip. And she's Chinese, and she didn't speak English really well. And to get from Syracuse, I think I was at Colgate University actually, but from Colgate University to New York City late at night, you have to go through like these back country roads, and you could see her looking at her phone, looking at me in the rearview mirror, looking at her phone, looking at me, and thinking like, where is this guy taking me? So, the whole time, I wanted her to feel safe, but I can understand her apprehension, and I totally get it. Thankfully, she fell asleep. I was a good enough driver that she felt comfortable enough to fall asleep, and I woke her up on the Brooklyn Bridge. I was like, we made it safely. I think about that story. There's hundreds, maybe not hundreds, but multiple dozens of times I've picked up women that have are drunk late at night, and they've had a bad experience. They're crying, they're breaking up with the guy or whatever it might be. And I like to think I'm more of a grandfather in that role, because they talk to you if you're a passenger. If you're People tell you things if you're a driver, and if you're a driver, you know what I mean. But somehow people just when they're inebriated and it's late at night and they're emotional, they talk, and you want to be a good listener, and I don't want to be seen as a creep in that scenario too. So I there's that. Um, I've had, people throwing up in my car, mostly women. But let me give you a story of one time where I'll give you two times where I felt uncomfortable. I remember this wedding party I picked up north side of city of Syracuse. It was a guy and a girl. I think they were husband and wife, and then a girl up here. She was single, but these two were married or together or something like that. I dropped them off first, and I had to take this one home. And the whole time, these two were back in the back of the car talking about how she's single, she's looking for a guy, and she's just completely wasted. They're both wasted. In fact, the girl like fell asleep and laid on her boyfriend's lap. She was so drunk. And this girl up in the front, as soon as these two got out of the car, she kind of like woke up and she kind of got in this like touchy feely kind of thing. And I've been married for 27 years. I'm fat, I'm bald, I'm old, I'm short, I'm an Uber driver. It's like I've gotten, thankfully, my wife has not divorced me, right? so, so to have a 20 something girl start to, she just kept touching my hand and, and telling me, oh, it'd be so nice to have a man. How long have you been married? And oh my gosh, I'm going home alone tonight, and and I think, and I haven't been hit on in so long. I maybe she wasn't hitting on me, but I felt uncomfortable. And there's plenty of times where people they get in your car and they touch you a lot. Um, and I don't feel uncomfortable, but I'm aware of it, and my hands are on the wheel, my eyes are looking forward, and one girl is telling me what they try to do is they try to distract the driver. So the girl that sits up front, um, like sweet talks the driver. Oh my gosh, look at your car, and they're nice, and I get that. But what they're trying to do is sneak people into the back of your car. So like trying to get four girls to sit in the back seat. One time I caught people trying to climb into the trunk of my car. So they're trying to distract you, and so they're using that sweet talk touch, they're touching your knee or your shoulder. Sometimes they'll come over the between the seats and they'll, put their head right next to you and they'll touch your shoulder and they'll be like, "Oh, can you play this whatever?" Now, again, are they assaulting me? No. Is it awkward? Yes. Um, but that's just a couple of scenarios and it happens a lot late at night because again, people are drunk and they're just doing dumb things. And the question is, going back to the scenario where Uber is saying that women can select women drivers. I understand it, but I'm offended is it's like that's the only selection criteria. Because you can go through all these other scenarios, all these other scenarios where dr- passengers and drivers can select each other based upon a lot of other criteria. And a lot of those would be illegal and very offensive, right? I mean, my preferred passenger, if I could go through the app, would be like, give me only Uber passengers that are really nice, that tip generously, that want to talk about golf, you know. And it would be horribly offensive if we started just going by genders and races and things like that. Now the question is that legal? I don't know. I mean, we separate genders by a lot of things, and quite frankly, we're struggling as a nation to define what women and men are to some extent, right? Women and men's sports. There's so many things going on with that. Let's bring it back home though. Let me read some statistics to you, and then I'm going to tell you my solutions to this. So I went out to Gemini, and I just kind of started to search different statistics, and I want to read these out to you. Men are involved in significantly more fatal car accidents than women. So why can't men select women as drivers? Because I mean, I want to be safe. If I'm a female or a male, I'm like, let me give me a woman driver because she's safer in terms of fatal car accidents. However, women are involved in slightly higher number of non-fatal police reported accidents per mile driven. So maybe you're not worried about dying, but you don't want to get in a car accident. So you select male drivers. Wreck versus assault. A passenger is 90 times more likely to be in a police reported car wreck than the victim of a reported sexual assault during a rideshare trip. So it's just not common to have some sort of sexual assault to happen, whereas it's 90 times more likely to be in a wreck. So we should be selecting drivers based upon safety of the driving as opposed to sexual assault. Approximately 3 passengers report being sexually assaulted for every 10 million rides. Let that sink in for a second. Okay, so we're trying to solve a problem where women feel uncomfortable and they don't want to be sexually assaulted. But again, that scale of, being offended, and feeling creeped out versus assaulted. Again, 3 out of 10 million rides. Wow, that's a number. In the most severe cases of sexual assault, 89% of the reported victims are female passengers. So it's logical that females feel this way because men are just not being assaulted. So that's completely logical. Um, a driver is roughly twice as likely to be a victim of any reported sexual misconduct as a passenger is. Do you understand that? Passengers want to feel safe, and that's totally reasonable. But so do drivers. So shouldn't we have the ability to start selecting people also? Okay, drivers are the victims of the majority of fatal physical assaults that occur during rideshare trips. So 61%. So again, I, as a driver, am much more at risk than a passenger. And I feel like I should be able to also start to pick passengers based upon my ability to think that they're safe. If we're going to start selecting, if we're going to start using criteria, why can't that be a criteria? Let me read these two final things here from Gemini. While the fear women face being assaulted by male rideshare drivers is substantiated by thousands of reported incidents, the data reveals that a dual crisis. Tens of thousands of rideshare drivers who are themselves often in vulnerable positions. Vulnerable. I'm facing this way. You're behind me. I'm much I'm much more vulnerable. Are also subject to frequent and sometimes deadly attacks from the passengers they are paid to transport. There you go. All right. This is the final one. This one's the one that got me. Therefore, you are 90 times more likely to be involved in a standard police reported car accident during any given rideshare trip than you are to be a victim of a reported sexual assault. And that goes for drivers and riders. So women want to feel comfortable, and Uber should address that. And I totally get that. But I want to feel safe. Now, what are some solutions here? I think the first and obvious solution is we should all use our best judgment. To the female that feels unsafe ordering an Uber late at night and you're drunk and all these kind of things, potentially, maybe, now I would lose business, maybe not put yourself in that situation. When you're drunk, you lose some level of control. Me too. Maybe we as adults shouldn't do that to ourselves, be so inebriated that we can't protect ourselves. Another thing, you order an Uber, guy or girl, whoever, wherever you are, you order an Uber and you see the car that's coming and the driver, their driver rating, how many rides they've done. You can start to use your own best judgment right there. You can look at that and say, wow, this guy's done 100 rides. He's got a 4.5 rating and he's driving a broken down Toyota Prius. And you'll see the car coming up. Maybe you could say that person's not safe. Or you could say, wow, look at this person. This person has 13,000 rides and he's pulling up in a new car and he's a 5.0. Oh, now I'm 4.99, but he's a highly rated driver. We can use our own judgment. I think that's what 99% of people are doing. I think most people are doing that. But there's some other things that you as a passenger may not know. We as Uber drivers, and I think Lyft has something similar to this, they score us as drivers. Uber gives me a score on how safe I drive. I've had it as high as 98 or 99. I think it's like 97 or 96. I'll put it up here. But that rating is how safe I drive. And my assumption is that Uber is saying that my safety, the higher the score, the safer I am as a driver, the less likely I'm going to get in a car accident. It probably lowers their insurance. So you as a passenger, there should be a tool, right? Where me as you can select drivers that are highly rated. I only want drivers that are in, I don't know, the highest of Volvo, because Volvos are safety cars, Volvos that are 99 rated. And this driver has passed a secondary background check, has no criminal record. If you're worried about safety, you can also do that. That functionality should be built in the app, because that's not selecting guys versus girls or gen or races or religions or anything else. It's just saying there's tools that are available to ensure our safety. And Uber does a little bit for us as drivers too. A good example is there's this verified thing. I don't know how much effort Uber puts into it, but I can see when a passenger orders a ride, whether they're verified or not. Now, there's some downsides because what Uber does, it gives us the ride and we have to select or unselect it. But it would be cool if Uber can let me filter and say, I'm only looking for passengers that are 4.9 and above and that have been verified. So, yeah, I think that's a lot going on there, isn't there? So let me summarize everything. I understand why women want this functionality. I have a wife, I have a daughter, I have a granddaughter. I want them to feel safe. And so, yeah, if selecting a female driver makes you feel safe, I understand it. Am I offended? Yes, because now I'm lumped into this category of potential creep. And I hate that feeling. It's like when people say, you know, "Oh, I just hate being categorized like that. Let me categorize myself by my actions, not by what some sort of external thing that I have no control over categorize me." So yeah, I'm offended by that. And I'm upset that Uber is doing that. I'm upset because like all of a sudden, if all women started doing this, I would lose half the opportunities of giving a ride. That'd be horrible. I've got great, wonderful women passengers, and I would hate to lose them as potential customers. Um, yeah, so there's that. I don't legal, sure. Yeah, of course. Why not? Um, the there's a lot of data that says that while it's maybe understandable that we're worried about being hit on, sexually assaulted or whatever, the real concern should be your physical safety in a car accident. And we should have control over finding ways to do that. And same with me as a driver. I should be able to find ways to avoid being assaulted. So the more tools that Uber and Lyft can put into their app should help me do that. And I should be able to select that too. I should have filters built into the app, and they're just not there. I don't know. Does that make sense? I think so many things can be true at once. Is ultimately what I'm getting at. Hey, so I created this YouTube channel and the show to connect. As a rideshare driver, I've been fascinated by the number of people that I've met, the stories, and it's just amazing. And I really care about, my city, and I care about my passengers, and I definitely care about my fellow drivers. And that's why I created this. If you're a driver for 2025, I want you to drive your way. You're going to get so much advice from drivers. They're going to tell you how to drive, make the most amount of money, what car to drive. And I do that too. But you know what? You're unique. You're a unique individual. And it's unfair for people to try to say this is how you should do what you're going to do, because you're the only you. You have your car. You're in your city. You can only drive at certain times. You have unique financial needs. So do it your way. And I want you to know, for my fellow drivers, I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. And I hope you make a lot of money. And I want you to know that I am cheering for you. Be well. Bye.